The year was 2341. Humanity had reached the stars. Cities shined on Mars. Giant colonies floated around Jupiter. For the first time in history, there were no wars on Earth. People believed peace had finally become the destiny of mankind. But peace never lasts forever. It began on a quiet Sunday morning. At 0943 UTC, the skies over Earth turned white. Every screen, every satellite, every ship signal went silent. Even deep space explorers near Pluto lost contact. And then something impossible appeared. A voice spoke from the sky, not from a radio, not from a transmission. It echoed inside every human mind at once. People of Earth, your age of peace is over. Across the planet, millions froze in fear. The message continued, calm and commanding. I am Empress Xylar, ruler of the Xylar Dominion, sovereign of 12 galaxies. You stand in my path, you will surrender your world, or face extinction. The image appeared then, a tall figure of light, standing above the clouds. Her face was covered by a silver crown. Her eyes glowed like two burning suns. Behind her, strange ships floated, each one larger than any human city. People screamed. News channels tried to explain it, but no one could. The transmission had reached everyone, rich, poor, soldier, child. Every mind had heard her. Within hours, chaos began. Markets crashed. Governments declared emergency. Religions called it the end of days. And above all this noise, the Empress's message played again and again. 10 days. Kneel or burn, 10 days. That was all. In the underground base below Geneva, world leaders gathered in panic. Presidents, generals, scientists, all arguing, shouting, afraid. No one had ever faced something like this before then. A voice spoke above the noise. A tall man with grey hair and sharp eyes stood from his chair. His name was Admiral Jonathan Kane, commander of the Earth Defense Fleet. He looked around the room and said, if they can reach us, it means they've been watching us for years. If they wanted to destroy us, they would have done it already. This is not a warning. This is a test. The room fell silent. They want to see if we will kneel. Kane said, but humanity never kneels. Some leaders argued Earth had no weapons strong enough to fight a galactic empire. The fleet near Mars was small. The colonies had limited defenses, but Kane only smiled, a hard, cold smile. Then we fight smart, not strong. Far above Earth, in the darkness near Jupiter, telescopes picked up movement. Thousands of alien ships, shining like diamonds, were entering the solar system, each one bigger than a mountain, each one armed with energy that could melt continents. Human. Scientists studied their energy signatures. The power output of a single alien ship was more than all of Earth's cities combined. It was hopeless. Or so everyone thought. Kane returned to his command center, the orbital fortress Athena. From its windows, Earth looked calm and beautiful, blue and shining below. He whispered to himself, this is our home. No one takes it. He called his officers. Orders went out across the system. Ships began to move from Mars. Lunar Titan satellites powered up. Old weapons, hidden since the last human war, were reactivated. In the deep ice of Antarctica, engineers began to awaken something ancient, a secret project known only as Nemesis. Meanwhile, the alien fleet slowed near Jupiter. They didn't attack. Not yet. They were waiting for humanity's answer. For 10 days, the Empress's hologram appeared above every city at the same hour. She stood silent, her eyes glowing, watching. Every human felt her presence, like a cold wind in the soul. Children cried in their sleep, animals refused to eat, and across the planet, people began to whisper one question: what will we do? On the 9th night, Admiral Kane gathered his fleet commanders. He spoke through a secure channel, his voice steady. The Empress wants us to fear her, but fear is the one thing humans have learned to master. We have faced death, war, famine, and fire, and we are still here. We may lose this fight, but we will not lose who we are. The next morning, as the 10th day began, the Empress appeared again. This time, she spoke with a smile. Time is over, humans, your answer. In the skies above Earth, thousands of human ships rose at once. They formed a shining wall between the planet and the alien fleet. Kane's voice echoed through every speaker. Humanity's answer is ready. The Empress tilted her head. For the first time, there was silence between both sides. Then she laughed, a sharp, cruel sound that made the air tremble. So be it. Her ships began to move, spreading across space like a storm of fire. Human ships turned toward them, engines burning bright. And as the first shot of light crossed the void between Earth and the stars, the war for humanity's future began. The narrator's voice fades as the scene zooms out from Earth, showing thousands of tiny ships facing a wall of darkness. This was the moment the galaxy changed forever, the moment humanity said no. The war had not yet begun, but everyone could feel it coming. Every screen, every radio, every network on Earth spoke only one name, the Xylar Dominion. 10 days had passed since the Empress's message, 10 days since she demanded Earth's surrender, 10 days since humanity said no. Now, the alien fleet was moving closer. Thousands of their warships glowed like distant suns. Just beyond Jupiter's orbit, the countdown to invasion had begun. On Earth, the World Defense Council gathered deep below Geneva, a place known only to a few as Sanctum I. It was a vast underground chamber, built during the Old Wars, where leaders could meet safely even if the surface burned. Inside, every seat was filled. Presidents, generals, scientists, admirals, representatives from Mars, Luna, and Titan colonies. The air was thick with fear and tension. A large hologram floated in the center of the room, the Empress's fleet, like a swarm of fire surrounding Jupiter. Every few minutes, the red markers multiplied. The Dominion was sending more ships. General Han from the Lunar Defense Force slammed his hand on the table. "We cannot fight this, Admiral Kane. They are gods to us. One ship of theirs could destroy the moon." President Silva of Mars leaned forward, her voice steady. "And what would you have us do? Kneel, serve her as slaves?" Han fell silent. Then Admiral Kane stood up. His uniform was simple, dark blue with the symbol of the Earth Fleet on his chest. He looked tired, but his eyes still burned with that same fire from the first day. "I will not lie," he began. "We are outnumbered. We are outgunned. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours, but they made one mistake." The room grew quiet. "They gave us time." He turned toward the hologram and pressed a control. A new image appeared. Blueprints, secret files, energy readings. Words appeared on the display. Project Nemesis. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many had heard rumors, but few knew what it really was. Kane explained. 30 years ago, after the last Great War, we began Nemesis. It was an idea, a weapon that could bend gravity itself, using the energy of a small black hole. The scientists in the room exchanged worried looks. "It was unstable," one of them said. "Too dangerous to test." Kane nodded. "Yes, we built it, then buried it under Antarctica, hoping we'd never need it. But now, it may be our only chance." President Silva asked, "How long until it's ready?" 5 days, Kane said. "If we can hold the aliens off that long." Bastia. Council fell silent again. 5 days against the most powerful empire in the galaxy. It sounded impossible, but impossible was something humanity had always lived with. A young officer entered the chamber, saluted, and handed Kane a data tablet. Kane's eyes widened as he read it. He turned to the council. "They've reached Saturn." Everyone stared at the hologram. Red lights flared around Saturn's orbit. The alien fleet was moving faster than expected. Kane's voice hardened. "Then, we move now. I will take the first fleet to the edge of Saturn. We'll delay them. Buy Nemesis the time it needs," several leaders protested. "You'll die out there," shouted General Han. "We can't risk our best commander." Kane looked at him with a calm smile. "If humanity is to survive, someone must stand in the fire first." He turned to the crowd. "Send your ships. Send your drones, your pilots, your courage. I don't ask you to win. I ask you to fight." The room filled with voices, some fearful, some inspired. And for the first time since the Empress's message, something new began to spread among them. Hope. Later that night, Kane stood alone on the launch deck of the Athena, watching ships rise from the oceans and deserts below, thousands of them, glowing like fireflies in the black sky. Humanity's first united fleet. He thought of his daughter, Commander Lyra Kane, who led the ground defenses on Earth. She had her mother's courage and his stubborn heart. He recorded a short message for her. "Lyra, if I don't return, remember this. "We are not fighting for victory. We are fighting to remind the stars who we are." He sent the message, then looked toward the stars. Somewhere out there, the Empress was waiting. In her flagship, the Celestial Blade, Empress Zyla watched the human fleet rise from her throne room. Her eyes glowed with curiosity. So, they choose defiance. Her advisor, a creature of smoke and light, bowed before her. "Shall we crush them, my Empress?" She smiled coldly. "Not yet. I wish to see how long they burn." She turned to the stars where Earth ships were gathering. "Prepare the Dominion Armada. Let their courage amuse me." As the human fleet left orbit, their ships formed lines across the void between Mars and Saturn. Every pilot knew the truth. This was a battle they might not survive, but they also knew something greater. If they didn't stand now, there would be no Earth left to save. Kane's final broadcast before leaving echoed across all channels. "To every human across every world, this is not the end of our story. This is where our legend begins." And as the engines roared, the stars filled with human light, heading straight toward the darkness that waited beyond Saturn. The first and greatest space battle in human history was about to begin. The human fleet moved through the darkness like a storm of steel. Thousands of ships, battleships, carriers, drones, and civilian vessels armed for war. Engines burned blue against the black sea of space. Every man and woman on board knew this was not just a battle. It was humanity's first stand against the galaxy itself. At the front of the formation was the flagship Athena, commanded by Admiral Jonathan Kane. From its wide bridge, Saturn appeared ahead, beautiful and calm, its golden rings shining like a crown. But peace was an illusion. Behind those rings, sensors detected movement. Thousands of alien warships glided silently in formation. The Zyla Dominion Armada had arrived. Their ships were unlike anything humans had ever seen, living metal, shifting shapes, glowing lines pulsing like veins. Each vessel moved as if it had a mind of its own, and leading them was the Empress's personal dreadnought, the Celestial Blade, larger than a continent. The first contact came as a whisper through the comms, a voice, cold and echoing across all frequencies. "Children of Earth, your defiance ends here." Kane stood at the center of the bridge, hands behind his back. He did not answer. He only said quietly, "All ships and the battle stations." The order spread instantly across the fleet. Alarms blared, pilots strapped in, drones activated. Every captain knew what to do. And then the sky exploded. The alien fleet opened fire first. Thousands of beams of white energy streaked across space, melting asteroids, shattering human frigates in seconds. The first human line vanished, but humanity did not break. The second line returned fire. Railguns, plasma cannons, missiles with artificial intelligence. Explosions painted the void red and gold. Saturn's rings shook as debris rained across them. On the Athena, Kane gave new orders. "Form delta pattern. Pull them toward the rings." The alien fleet chased, believing humans were retreating. But it was a trap. Hidden inside Saturn's rings were hundreds of mining drones loaded with nuclear warheads. At Kane's signal, they detonated all at once. The explosion was like the birth of a small dozens of alien ships were vaporized. Even more lost there, shields in the storm of rock and radiation. The bridge of the Athena shook violently. Kane held the railing as alarm screamed. "Status! Shields at 40%, Admiral. We lost the Artemis and 3 carriers." He nodded grimly. "We keep fighting." Meanwhile, deep inside the Celestial Blade, Empress Zyla watched the chaos through a vast energy window. Her eyes glowed brighter. "Impressive," she murmured. "They use their world like a weapon." Her advisor bowed. "Shall we end this?" "Not yet," she said. "I want them to see how small they are." Her ship released a pulse, a wave of dark energy that spread through space. Human systems flickered and died. Engines stalled. Shields collapsed. For a few seconds, every ship in the human fleet went silent. On the Athena, darkness filled the bridge. Only Kane's voice broke the silence. "Stay calm. Manual control. Use analog systems." Old backup circuits came to life. Human engineers had planned for everything, even fighting without computers. Kane smiled faintly. "You thought we forgot how to fight without machines, didn't you?" The Athena's cannons powered up again, manual targeting, old-style triggers. They fired straight into the heart of the alien formation. One of the Dominion ships exploded. Then another. The fleet was alive again. Humans fought with fury, desperation, and courage that defied reason. They rammed enemy ships when they had no ammunition. Pilots turned dying vessels into guided missiles. Every explosion screamed the same message. "We will not kneel." The Empress watched silently. Her advisor whispered, "They are mad." "My Empress," she smiled. "No, they are dangerous." Hours passed. The battlefield around Saturn had become a graveyard, thousands of ships broken, burning, drifting through the black. But both sides were still fighting. Kane stood on the cracked floor of the Athena's bridge, blood on his face, eyes burning with determination. "Report." "Half the fleet is gone," replied his officer. "But the aliens are pulling back." Kane turned toward the hologram. He saw it, the massive celestial blade moving backward, its front armor glowing red from damage. "Focus all fire on their flagship," Kane ordered. The surviving ships obeyed. Every cannon, every missile, every beam they had left fired at the same target. The sky turned white with energy. For the first time, cracks appeared on the Empress's dreadnought. She rose from her throne. Enough. Her ship released another wave, but before it could reach the humans, a small vessel from the human fleet charged forward. Engines burning beyond limit. It was the Valkyrie, a damaged carrier. Its captain, a woman named Rhea Solis, sent one last transmission for Earth. The Valkyrie rammed directly into the celestial blade's core. The explosion was blinding. Both ships vanished in a storm of light. Silence filled space. Then, slowly the alien fleet began to retreat. On the Athena, Kane closed his eyes. Half his fleet was gone, but they had survived. "Send a message to Earth," he said quietly. "Tell them." We held the line. Far away in her private chamber, the Empress stood among smoke and fire. Her ship was crippled, her armies weakened, but her eyes still burned with fury. "So, they made me bleed," she whispered. "Now, I will burn their world." Her fleet turned toward Earth. The first battle was over. The real war was about to begin. The news of victory near Saturn spread like wildfire. Across Earth and the colonies, people cheered. For the first time, they had beaten the impossible. But their celebration did not last long. 2 days later, the sky changed. Without warning, the stars vanished. A shadow covered the moon. Then Earth's orbit. Hundreds of alien ships appeared, and larger, darker, faster than before. It was the second wave, and this time, the Empress herself led the attack. From her command throne aboard the celestial blade, now rebuilt and burning red, she gave the order. Burn their skies. Shatter their hope. The alien armada descended toward Earth. Beams of energy sliced through the upper atmosphere. Satellites melted. The International Orbital Defense Grid was destroyed in minutes. The sky turned crimson. Cities trembled as shock waves hit the surface. In New York, people looked up and saw lights falling. Alien dropships, descending like fire. In Beijing, plasma fire lit the horizon. In London, church bells rang as power went out. The war for Earth had begun. In the command bunker beneath Geneva, Commander Lyra Kane, daughter of Admiral Kane, watched the chaos unfold on giant holoscreens. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were filled with steel. Activate ground defenses. Every city, every outpost. Her officers moved fast, old missile. Silos roared back to life. Laser turrets. On the moon began firing. Even civilian ships took flight to defend the atmosphere. But the alien weapons were unlike anything humans had faced. Their energy cut through shields, as if they were paper. Whole continents went dark. Still, humanity fought back. In the ruins of Tokyo, soldiers fired plasma rifles at towering alien walkers. In the deserts of Africa, drone swarms filled the sky like metal birds. In orbit, what was left of the Earth fleet gave everything they had. Humanity was losing, but it refused to fall. Inside the Geneva bunker, Lyra received a transmission, her father's voice, weak, static-filled but alive. "Lyra, they're coming for Earth. Hold them. Nemesis must be ready." She swallowed hard. "Understood, father. I won't let them through." She turned to her science officer. "Status on Project Nemesis?" "Still charging. 40% power. How long until full?" 6 hours, maybe less if we overload it. But that could destroy the entire continent. Lyra looked at the flickering map of the world. Cities falling. Millions dying. There was no time left for safety. "Do it," she said. "Overload it." The officer hesitated. "Commander, that could save us." "Do it?" High above Earth, the Empress watched the burning world below. Her voice was soft, almost curious. "They still fight." "Even now?" Her advisor bowed. "Shall I send ground units to finish them?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, take their capital. I want their leader brought to me." Thousands of alien landing ships broke away from orbit, falling through the atmosphere like black comets. The world shook as they landed. In Geneva, explosions tore through the mountains. Lyra's bunker trembled. The ground cracked as alien troops emerged. Tall, silver-armored soldiers with energy blades and glowing eyes. Lyra grabbed her rifle. "All units, defend the command room. Don't let them reach Nemesis control." Gunfire thundered through the halls. Human soldiers fought desperately, step by step. Every corridor became a war zone. Smoke filled the air, but no one backed down. Lyra fought at the front, side by side with her team. Her armor was scorched, her arm bleeding, but she never stopped firing. As alien forces pushed closer, she shouted over the noise, "We hold the line. Humanity stands here." Meanwhile, under the frozen wastelands of Antarctica, giant reactors roared to life, deep beneath the ice. Project Nemesis was waking. Massive rings of metal spun faster and faster, bending gravity, twisting space itself. Energy readings rose beyond safety limits. The ice above cracked and glowed with blue light. A scientist whispered, "If this works, it could destroy everything." The lead engineer answered quietly, "If it doesn't, everything dies anyway." They activated the final sequence back in Geneva. Alien troops breached the bunker. Explosions ripped through the corridors. Lyra fell to one knee, coughing from smoke. Her team was almost gone. An alien warrior raised its blade to strike her, but before it could, a blinding blue light filled the entire sky. The air rippled. The ground shook. Everyone, human and alien, stopped moving for a second. Then the light expanded. A sound like thunder roared across the world. From the South Pole, a wave of pure energy surged outward. Mountains cracked. Clouds vanished. The entire alien fleet in orbit froze as gravity tore at their ships. Nemesis had awakened. Lyra stared at the sky through the broken ceiling of the bunker. Blue energy spread across the atmosphere like a second dawn. She whispered, "Father, it's working." But her joy faded as the ground beneath her began to break apart. The overload was too strong. The Earth itself was shaking under the force. She grabbed a comm device. "All units, hold your ground for humanity, for Earth." Her voice was the last thing broadcast before communication went dead. In orbit, the Empress watched her ships crumble. Gravity twisted around them. She stood from her throne, eyes wide for the first time. "What have they done?" Her advisor screamed, "They've turned their planet into a weapon." The celestial blade began to break apart. The Empress stared at Earth on that small, fragile world she had called weak, and for the first time, she felt fear. The screen fades to black. A single voice echoes in the silence. Admiral Kane's recorded words, "We are not fighting for victory. We are fighting to remind the stars who we are." The Earth trembled. Mountains cracked. Oceans boiled. Cities lay in ruins, and yet humanity was still alive. From the South Pole, the massive blue wave of Project Nemesis had spread across the planet. Gravity itself bent around Earth. The alien fleet, once unstoppable, now froze in the void. Ships twisted and turned as space itself fought against them. The Xylar Dominion had never seen anything like it. The Empress's personal dreadnought, the Celestial Blade, shivered as energy tore through its hull. Ships collided, exploded, and fell into collapsing wormholes. For the first time, the galaxy saw humans defy an empire. In the underground bunkers of Geneva, Commander Lyra Kane and her surviving forces watched the sky. Windows cracked from the force of the energy wave. But outside, the alien invasion was being destroyed, not by guns, not by bombs, but by human ingenuity. Her communicator crackled. "Admiral Kane, Nemesis is fully deployed. The fleet. They're gone." Lyra smiled through exhaustion. "We did it. Father, humanity has survived." Kane's voice replied from the command center orbiting above. "Not just survived. We reminded the galaxy who we are. Across Earth, people emerged from shelters, their faces streaked with dust and tears. They looked at the sky, once red with fire, now glowing faintly blue. They had lost much, but humanity had won against impossible odds. High above, in the ruins of space, the Empress Xyla watched the destruction of her fleet. Her armor glowed faintly as she floated in the wreckage of her dreadnought. For the first time, her expression was unreadable. Not anger, not pride, but shock. They fought with nothing but courage, she whispered. Her advisor, trembling, replied, "They are human, my Empress. They are more dangerous than we imagined." Xyla's eyes burned. "This is not over. The galaxy will remember them, but I will return. And next time they will kneel, even in defeat." The galaxy's most feared ruler had learned one undeniable truth. Humans do not kneel. Back on Earth, Lyra walked through the ruined streets of Geneva. Soldiers, civilians, and scientists were helping each other rebuild. The planet was scarred. Cities would take decades to recover, but the human spirit, unbroken by fire, stood taller than ever. A child tugged at her sleeve. "Commander, will they come back?" Lyra knelt, looking into the child's eyes. "Maybe, but we will be ready. Humanity has learned something today. We fight not just for survival, but for honor, for Earth, for each other." "We never kneel," the child nodded, eyes shining with understanding. From orbit, Kane watched Earth. The blue glow of Nemesis slowly faded, leaving scars but life intact. He recorded a message to the galaxy, a declaration for all who might threaten humanity. To every empire, every conqueror across the stars, Earth is ours. Humanity is ours. We kneel to no one. Remember this day. Remember the courage of the human spirit. And remember, this is only the beginning. The message was broadcast across space. Alien worlds trembled. Empires paused. Legends were born. Months later, Earth began to rebuild. Humanity had survived the impossible. They repaired cities, restarted colonies on Mars, and rebuilt the fleet. Scientists continued studying Project Nemesis, preparing for threats yet unknown. Stories of courage and sacrifice spread through history books, hollows, and songs. The galaxy had learned one truth. Humans were not to be underestimated, but in the shadows of space, a faint signal flickered, a message barely detectable. "Drifting through the void, we are not done, humans." The word sent a shiver through Earth's fleet. Even as humanity celebrated, they knew the galaxy was vast, and their battle might be far from over. Still, humanity had changed the stars forever. From the ashes of destruction, they had forged a legacy, a message written not in words, but in courage, strength, and defiance. We are humans. We kneel to no one. And as Earth turned slowly in the blackness of space, the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, for in the heart of every human, there burned an unbreakable light, a light that would echo across the galaxy for generations to come.